I still remember the smell of turpentine and stale coffee that clung to the walls of the tiny attic where Canvas Soul was born. Back then it wasn't even a studio, just a rented space with peeling paint and a single window that faced a cracked brick wall. But to me it was freedom. After years of working late nights and skipping meals to chase art that no one seemed to understand, I finally had something that was mine. Every brushstroke, every sleepless night, every tear that dried on the floor, it all built the heartbeat of my studio. I built it from nothing, and for once I was proud of something I created. My parents, however, didn't see it that way. To them, Canvas Soul was a cute little hobby, something that wouldn't last. They were always more invested in my younger sister, Mara, the golden child who could do no wrong. While I was scraping together coins for paint, they were buying her cameras, software, and a fully equipped room to explore her creativity. When my first small exhibition went viral, suddenly everything changed. The same parents who once rolled their eyes at my dream were suddenly calling every night. "We're so proud of you," my mother gushed, her voice dripping with that artificial warmth I'd heard 100 times before. My father even suggested we formalize things and make Canvas Soul a family brand. I should have seen the warning signs then. Mara would visit sometimes, pretending to admire my progress. "You're amazing, Lena," she'd say, walking around with her phone out, snapping pictures. She wanted to learn, she said, to be close to me. I believed her, because despite everything, despite the jealousy that always shimmered behind her smile, she was still my sister. And I thought that mattered. When I got accepted into an international artist residency in Florence, it felt like the final validation. The world was finally opening up for me. My parents congratulated me over dinner, and Mara insisted she would watch over the studio while I was away. I remember hugging her tightly that night, whispering, "Don't let anyone change anything," she promised. I believed her. 3 months later, I came home. The first thing I noticed was the silence. My keycard didn't work. I thought it was a glitch, maybe the system reset, but when I looked up, my stomach dropped. My logo, the one I hand-painted myself, was gone. In its place, a glossy silver plaque read, "Canvas Soul Studio, Creative Direction by Mara Sinclair." For a full minute, I stood there frozen, the world tilting around me. My palms went cold. My heartbeat pounded in my ears as if trying to drown out the sight before me. Mara's smiling face was plastered on posters in the window, my art gone from the walls. I knocked hard. A new assistant, someone I'd never met, opened the door and asked if I had an appointment. My voice trembled as I said, "This is my studio." She hesitated, then said quietly, "You'll need to speak to management." Management. The word sliced through me. I wasn't the artist anymore. I wasn't even welcome. Standing on the sidewalk, staring at my stolen dream, one truth burned through the fog of confusion and betrayal. My family hadn't just taken over my studio. They'd erased me from my own creation. I don't remember how I got home that day. The hours between standing outside the studio and unlocking my apartment door are a blur. A collage of rain, traffic noise, and a dull ache that hollowed me out from the inside. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Messages from Mara, then my mother, then my father, each one polite, cheerful, even proud. "We just need to talk. Don't overreact, sweetheart. You'll understand once we explain everything." Explain what? How they'd managed to turn my life's work into a family takeover. 2 days later, I finally agreed to meet them. The message said Canvas Soul Conference Room, 11 a.m. The irony of being invited to my own studio didn't escape me. When I arrived, the place felt alien. The air smelled like vanilla candles and new leather, not the comforting mix of paint and coffee that had once filled the space. The walls gleamed white, stripped of the soul that gave the studio its name. And there, at the head of the long glass table, sat Mara, in a tailored beige suit, hair pinned neatly, radiating a confidence I didn't recognize. "Lena," she chirped as if we were meeting for brunch. "You look surprised." I didn't answer. My parents sat beside her, smiling nervously, like business partners trying to close a deal. My father gestured toward the chair opposite him. "Sit down, darling. Let's talk about our family vision for Canvas Soul." Family vision. The phrase made my stomach twist. My mother clasped her hands on the table. We didn't want to overwhelm you, Elena, but after you left for Italy, we realized the studio had so much untapped potential. Mara stepped up. She helped reorganize things, modernize your brand. My brand, I cut in. My voice shook, but I didn't care. Mara sighed dramatically. Elena, come on, you were gone for months. The team needed leadership. Clients needed reassurance. You didn't even check in. I was working for our future. I said the word our. Tasting bitter on my tongue, my father cleared his throat. Legally, the studio is under the Sinclair family name, remember. You used the family registration when you first started. It gave us access to family funds. He said it like I'd done something naive, something childish, so technically, he continued, the studio belongs to all of us. We thought it was time to make it official. A true family partnership. It hit me then. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a takeover, dressed in polite words and family smiles. My mother leaned forward, her tone soft. We'll give you a new title, Senior Creative Consultant. You'll still contribute, of course, but Mara has proven herself capable of directing the brand. Directing my brand, replacing me, I looked at my sister. Her eyes were shimmering, not with guilt, but with victory. She tried to hide behind concern. It's still your work, Lena, she said quietly. I just made it better. The room fell silent. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears, fast and furious. My fingers clenched into fists beneath the table. Finally, I stood up. You didn't make it better, I whispered. You just made it yours. Mara's confident smile faltered. My parents exchanged anxious looks, realizing they hadn't expected resistance. I walked toward the door, pausing only once to look back at them. All three sitting together, polished and proud, convinced they'd done the right thing. They had replaced me not because I failed, but because I succeeded without them. And as the elevator doors closed behind me, I made a silent promise. If they wanted a family business, they'd learn what it cost to betray family. For weeks after that meeting, I drifted through life like a ghost haunting her own memories. My apartment became a maze of unopened mail, empty teacups, and scattered sketches that no longer meant anything. Each morning, I'd wake up thinking I had somewhere to be, then remember that my studio wasn't mine anymore. I tried to paint, but every stroke felt hollow. Even the colors seemed to mock me, the blue I used to love, the color of calm skies and quiet mornings, looked like bruises now. People online kept asking about my next project, sending messages of admiration and hope. I couldn't answer. I couldn't even look at my social media without seeing Mara's face plastered under the Canvas Soul banner. She was everywhere. Interviews, photo shoots, podcasts. My sister had mastered the art of pretending my work was hers. And my parents beamed beside her like proud investors. The betrayal cut deeper than I could ever explain. I had no words for the feeling of being erased, not forgotten, but rewritten. One night, as rain tapped against the window, I scrolled through an old backup folder on my laptop. Inside were hundreds of unfinished projects concepts I'd abandoned when I got too busy managing the studio. One caught my eye, Project Lies. It was an experimental idea from years ago, blending digital art, sound frequencies, and motion. Too ambitious for my old setup, but now I had nothing to lose. I opened the file, the first image, a swirl of light and shadow forming a single word, truth. And something inside me reignited. I started working again, quietly, obsessively. Days blurred into nights, nights into dawn. I'd sit at my desk until my hands cramped, layering images, coding light patterns, recording sounds that pulsed with emotion. I wasn't painting anymore. I was building something alive. I used a pseudonym this time, Lies, no surname. No history, no family, just creation. I uploaded my first piece anonymously, a moving digital canvas titled Inheritance. It was a swirling storm of gold and black, a visual poem about creation stolen by greed. I didn't expect much. But within a week it exploded. Art blogs called it haunting. Critics wrote essays about its message. Galleries reached out, desperate to contact the mysterious Lies, and for the first time in months, I smiled. Not because of revenge, At least, not yet, but because I felt seen again. Not as someone's daughter, or sister, or victim. Just an artist. When Mara posted about Canvas Soul's new era of innovation, I almost laughed. Her studio's online presence was crumbling. The followers who once adored her started comparing her sterile work to the raw energy of Eli's. They said her art felt safe, soulless. I didn't even have to lift a finger. The truth was unraveling naturally. Still, I stayed silent, hidden. Watching, waiting, each new project under Lies gained more recognition. Museum features, digital showcases, private buyers offering sums that once seemed impossible. And with every success, I rebuilt the part of myself they'd tried to destroy. 1 year after losing everything, I received an invitation to the International Art Visionary Gala. The same event Canvas Soul was slated to headline. The anonymous artist Lies was the featured guest. I stared at the letter for a long time. The universe had set the stage for me. This wasn't just an opportunity, it was destiny knocking, with a vengeance. The night of the gala shimmered with the kind of elegance that makes people forget how cruel the world can be. Crystal lights cascaded down from the ceiling like frozen raindrops, and every guest wore their ambition like a second skin. My name, Lies, was printed in gold across the program booklet. No one there knew it was me, not yet. Across the hall, I saw the Canvas Soul display. It was impossible to miss. Tall banners, polished frames, and a desperate kind of glamour that felt hollow. Mara stood near the stage, radiant in a silver gown, my parents hovering proudly beside her. Their smiles were rehearsed, their confidence brittle. I wondered if they recognized how fragile their empire had become. The event began with a presentation of emerging artists. One by one, digital installations flashed across the screen's color, sound, life. Then came the announcement, and now our featured artist of the evening, Lies, whose groundbreaking work has redefined emotional realism in the digital age. Applause filled the hall. I stepped onto the stage. A hush rippled through the crowd. I was wearing a simple black dress, my hair tied back, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I took the microphone and smiled gently. "Thank you for embracing art that tells the truth," I began. "Every piece I've created under the name Lies was born from betrayal, but it grew into something pure, something real. The first visual appeared behind me, inheritance." The swirling gold and black storm filled the screen, just as it had months ago. The audience murmured, captivated. Then came the next piece, Erasure, showing two overlapping figures, one slowly fading, while the other grew brighter, stealing her shape. Gasps filled the room. I saw Mara's face, then pale, tight, eyes darting between the screen and me. My parents froze beside her. Finally, I spoke the words they never expected to hear. "My name is not Lies. My name is Elena Sinclair, founder of Canvas Soul Studio. The studio that was taken from me by the people standing over there." A collective whisper rippled through the audience. Cameras turned. Faces swung toward my family. I kept my voice calm, steady, almost gentle. "I built something beautiful once, and it was stolen in the name of family. But art," I said, glancing toward Mara, "has a way of telling the truth no matter how much you try to repaint it." My mother rose from her seat, flustered. "Elena, please. This isn't the place." "Oh, I think it is," I said softly. "Because you tried to turn my dream into a business. You turned love into a contract, but tonight, the world will remember that what you tried to own was never yours to begin with." The applause started slowly, then swelled into something thunderous. Reporters rushed forward. Flashlights flickered. I stepped away from the podium, the chaos blooming behind me like fireworks. Mara called after me, her voice cracking. "Lena, wait. We can fix this. We can be a family again." I turned, meeting her tearful eyes. For the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt peace. "I already have my family," I said quietly, gesturing toward the crowd of artists, strangers, and believers who had lifted me up when blood had dragged me down. "It's built on honesty, not ownership." And with that, I walked away past the cameras, past the whispers, past the ghosts of what once was. Outside, the night air was cool and soft. For the first time in years, I breathed freely. My family had taken everything from me, but in their greed, They'd given me something greater, a new beginning, on my own terms.